How are you today? So, a lot has been happening. But yeah. So, what we're gonna talk about today is an email that I got from Caze. We're gonna talk about how I don't consent to contact with Cenderra, and I don't think we should be discussing with each other. I don't think we should talk. Um, and you know, if at this point, what I've processed is what I've been thinking, because like realizing that the first video I made, I only thought she texted and called me. And it wasn't until after I made the video, I saw the Instagram. And then today I see the email. And so realizing all of this, like, there's just like, it's too much. It's a lot. At first I was just like, yeah, if you can at least tell me the specific, then you and I can talk to for me to take it down, right? But now I'm at a point where I'm like, she needs to get an attorney to tell me, because I don't think she and I should talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't, legally, if you threaten legal action on someone, it's not a good idea for you to continue a conversation with them anyway. Like, at that point, you let an attorney handle it from there on out. So that's what I think should happen. And so my thinking is, like, she should just let an attorney discuss with me what is the specific defamation. And then if there's anything specific that feel that should be like, redone, we can redo it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking should happen, rather than like, the original offer where I was just like, if you tell me, I'll totally make it work. Now I'm like, maybe she and I shouldn't be discussing shit. So yeah, that's where I'm going. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm sorry. So we're gonna discuss that a little bit. We're gonna discuss Georgia law in relation to this, and then we're also gonna discuss like like how the content happened, the evolution of it, of the coverage, and what I want to cover next, and which is like, yeah, But anyway, different story. Fucking And then after that, we'll get into the Madeline Pendleton situation. And I just want to cover two things. One, we're going to react to another video of hers. And then two, what we'll also do is fucking, I'm in my Pokemon dress, by the way. What we'll also do is fucking, go over, let's see, what the fuck was this? Oh yes, the sources. So yesterday there was something she had said in a video that bothered me in regards to the connection between Israel and America. She was saying it was more focused on oil, so I wanted to highlight something related to that. Um but yeah, fucking um and I also want to just kind of sum up some things that I've been processing in relation to all this. I don't know. I'm a bit all over the place. So, you know what? We're just gonna roll the intro and just get into it. Hi, my name is Lexi, aka Deaf Child. I'm born deaf, hard of hearing. Deafness runs in my family genetically. Speech is not fully accessible to me. My team was one of the top teams between 2020 and 2024 in New Orleans and Louisiana. I began doing business as Deaf Child in 2013, marketing 2011, and sales 2009. I've earned 50 plus certifications in marketing and sales, and I have my Bachelor of Science from Loyola University, New Orleans, with a music industry studies major and a business administration minor. Visit my site at noladeafchild.com. So, you know what? I was pulling up the wrong thing. So first of all, we're going to be looking at this email that Cenderra sent me. It's basically the same thing that she sent me in text and in my Instagram DMs. And also, did I say Happy Halloween? Happy Halloween, everybody. I'm in my Pokeball dress. Fucking, and here's a word for our sponsor from Ink by Casze Tattoo in Pasadena, Texas, near Houston. Happy Halloween. So, fucking, with Cenderra, she had sent me a couple of emails, two in a row, that I wanted to discuss. Um, and I'm just gonna put them on the screen. I'm not gonna actually read them the whole time like last time. Um, because it's literally, I think, the exact same. Um, and I just wanted to make sure that it was redacted, and so I'm just gonna not keep it on the screen so that it doesn't accidentally show anything. Um, okay, and then I'm just gonna take this down. Sorry. Okie dokie. So I had pulled up the email, proof that she sent me an email, but I don't want to accidentally show the email address it came from in case that's personal. I don't know, fucking just in case. Um, um, yeah, so it's there. Um, you know what? I had said I wasn't going to read it, but fuck it, we're going to read it. It said, through this letter dated October 29, 2024, and it was sent at 7:42 p.m. So, I got the Instagram DMs. They were sent to me at 7:35 p.m. on October 29th, but I didn't get them until after the live stream that I did where I had seen the text message. On October 29th, she called me and texted me at 7:40 p.m. And that's what I did my first live stream on. And then after that live ended, I see the Instagram DMs. And I covered that the next night, which was last night, the 30th. Um, and then tonight, the 31st, today I see the email. She sent me the email at 7:42 p.m. on October 29th, but I didn't see it until today because I've been busy and stuff, and I just haven't checked. But anyway, fucking, so yeah, and then it's like saying the owner draw your attention, urgent concern, and then it says related to a defamatory and unjust video, but I posted it on my TikTok account. This one just says TikTok account. The only place she says TikTok and YouTube is on Instagram. And as we've discussed, there was nothing that I posted about her on TikTok that wasn't a repost of what someone else did. You know what I'm saying? Except for the video that I posted on the 30th, which was after this email was sent. And what I posted on October 30th was just the introduction of my live stream where I discussed that she had texted me this. And so I was like, now I posted on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only post about her on my TikTok is where she accused me of posting about her on TikTok. I had never posted about her before then on TikTok. My content about her was only on YouTube. Um, Although I did share that YouTube post on all social platforms, but it just linked back to my YouTube. Anyway, and the only thing that it tells me that I said that was false was there being a CEO. And as we addressed in my live stream on October 29th, where I addressed the text and call, and that live stream I pulled up where on Dr. Zanzi's website there is a CEO mentioned. And I also pulled up where the employees had claimed that Dr. Zanzi was the CEO, which is why I believe that and everybody else believed that. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just saying, like, if, as she is correcting us that Dr. Zanzi is not the CEO, that's fine. But that's not something that's a defamation case, in my opinion, because that doesn't harm anybody. It wouldn't harm Casze, That doesn't harm anybody. And because Caze has a worse reputation, in my opinion, than Dr. Zanzi. You know what I'm saying? And Caze was on Dr. Zanzi's website. So like I feel like there's reason to believe there was involvement. And between that and the employee, like there's reason to believe, like so it's like, oh, okay, now you're telling us that's not true. That's fine. Thanks for letting us know. But that doesn't mean that it was defamation to have thought what someone said was true was true. You know what I'm saying? Um anyway, and then it's saying this is a formal demand to cease and desist from making or disseminating defamatory statements about Caze LLC and its affiliates. You have to tell me what statements are defamatory so I can stop making those. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just say the fact that you discussed me means it's defamation. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And then it's like in the recorded video that we have, you have my personal information that is not public record. Everything that I've shared, I link to it in the description and the comments on my videos. And so it's all like public record to my knowledge or already posted. It's already posted on social media or like available on the internet if I'm sharing it on here. You know what I'm saying? Like even whenever I shared like about the employees reaching out to me, at that point, the TikTok video had already been made and everything in the TikTok video is what I had said. You know what I'm saying? So it's like at everything I say, there's like something else out there where it was said. So it's just like even if I had reason to believe it because I can point to X, Y, and Z where it was like, you know? Um, so yeah. She also accuses me of listing her banking information. I went through all of my content. I did a replay again on it. And then so today I watched my replay sped up again. You know what I'm saying? And that's like everything that I did on her. And I did the and watched the employee part too. On my replay and fucking we did not nowhere did I see any banking information of hers posted. They did post evidence of bounced checks, but the banking information was redacted. Um, and then it's saying that I led numerous individuals to her. I already did the math. My whole playlist, all of the videos combined, only have about 1,000 views. Um, she's got over 24 million views. And then I showed in the math as well, like so on the 29th, I did the math where I was showing you like what is 1,000 like out of 24 million, right? And then in last night's live stream, we were looking at it and thinking like literally the percent when you look at it as a percentage, I literally like 0% my views were 0% of her views in comparison. You know what I'm saying? The amount of views I make don't even make up 0% of the amount of views she got because she got so many views. So I feel like my impact on it is statistically measured at like 0%. You know what I'm saying? Like at every step of the way, I've told people I think anybody like that who would go after anybody like that, is silly. Like don't do that. I've been discussing that. Um, and then I've also been discussing like value alignment in business. Like I heavily moderate my space in my in my video where I review the comments. I discuss what is allowed and what's not allowed as an example in my space, like I heavily moderate it. Um, and so it's just like if she shows me anyone that's actually in my space who's threatened her, then I would be happy to remove them from my space. You know what I'm saying? Like I would never encourage that or support that or condone. Um, if two individuals have their own issues with each other, I don't get involved because people are allowed to have problems with each other. We're human beings. But if I see like, people, someone going after someone for no fucking reason and shit like that, I'm like, hell no. For example, like, um, on on TikTok, there was this one bitch that was just like going after other women and bringing them down as mothers, judging them and sexualizing them for how they looked, and putting up pictures of their children on the back, on the big screen or whatever, on TikTok live panels, and like just degrading them just because she didn't like them. And the reason she didn't like them was actually because she's not connected to an Indigenous community. These are Indigenous women who are basically telling her, hey, like, if you're not connected to an Indigenous community, you should connect to the Indigenous community before claiming you're Indigenous. Or you can say, like things like that, like having that conversation with her. And then she started like sexualizing them and trying to shit talk them as mothers and things, right? Um, and so in that case, like I started saying something because I was like, bitch, like you can't just go fucking bring women down this way, and like you need to recognize your place, you need to recognize what's happening with genocide, you need to recognize the cultural ties, and the community like issues here. Like we just I wasn't about to just be like, oh, well, I'm gonna stay out of this one. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there are certain situations where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking say my opinion because I don't like the normalization and perpetuation of social issues if you don't say something when you see something. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so, fucking, I don't know. That's where I'm over here just discussing and thinking about, like, my own value alignment in business and society and things. It's just like how I maintain community, like, so trigger warning, like, I was sexually assaulted. And so for me, I don't do well with people who maintain and uphold rape culture. I don't do well with people who weaponize the law against others. And that triggers me in two forms: my sexual assault, as well as being, well, many forms really. Sexual assault, my disabilities and deafness, as well as the genocide my family has faced through my ancestry. I really don't take it well when you weaponize the law against me, which is the mechanism through which I experienced several genocides. You know what I'm saying? Through my family history and through my own lived experience. So here's where I'm like, if you use the law on someone and you don't actually, like, if you're like literally threatening the law on people without cause, that really fucking upsets me. You know what I'm saying? Just as I was upset when Rayleigh was threatening the police on Cenderra for no, over the fucking dress. Are you kidding me? Like, I still stand by how upset I was on that. Like, I am against that. Um, and so I don't understand. Like, for me, it's just like we're different communities, but I feel like, I don't know. Given the context of genocide, wouldn't you have better discernment for when to get law involved or not, Um, I wish she did, but it doesn't, I don't know. I don't feel that she has much discernment, in my opinion. But that's something that really bothered me, like just the connection of the genocide. But anyway, so she was telling me that I posted her home location. To my knowledge, I've not posted her home location. Now, apparently, someone told me that if I had posted her business location, that could have been her home location. They said that in a comment to me last night. Um, but fucking, I feel that if it was like, because everything I pulled up was public record from things that are just online, it's just like, in my opinion, anybody could have already gone and Googled these things and find that. So it's like, on one level, um, if it's like a private business transaction and you don't make your uh private address public record as a business owner, then I don't think that your customers should go out your private address, if the only way you would know the address is by being a customer, for example, right? Or a worker there, right? Or just like knowing you, right? But like if you as a business owner make your home address your business address and then register your business with your home address as the business address instead of the brick and mortar location, um, then that is a risk you take by doing so, because now that address is public record everywhere. Content data scraper sites will go take that and put it everywhere, and you would have to go then correct it and update it to get it taken down. But at that point, if you list your home address as your business address, and you put it online and that's the address like on your Google business profile and um, like on the business registration, um, you can't sue people for that information being public when you made it public, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, fucking. Let me just see something. Did they still even call it a Google My Business page? Didn't they change it? Okay, I'm sorry. Anyway. And another thing, knowingly false. What statement have I made that is knowingly false when I have a source to back up every statement? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand that. Um, like reacting to other people's stories and then pulling up sources, that's not sharing knowingly false. If I'm sharing the source, this is why I believe something. That means it's not knowingly false. There's a reason I believe it. You know what I'm saying? Um, and then when it came to fucking she's telling me it's illegal. Like, I don't understand that part. The only thing that's illegal. Well, what is illegal? Nothing is that. I don't think anything that I've shared is illegal. How is it illegal for me to live stream this whole situation that happened, But Caze doesn't think it's illegal for her to have done what she did to Rayleigh, huh? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Make that make sense. And then therefore she says, I demand you to remove. Remove what though? You didn't even specify which video. You just said a video. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still on that. Um, and then she's like, we went into the laws in my last live stream that she cited, and I broke down why those laws literally did not apply to the situation. Um, and so yeah, she's claiming that because like that the statements that I'm making by my commentary are intended to cause harm to her reputation, but I literally have not ever intended to cause harm to anybody's reputation. I only covered social issues in business transactions. You know what I'm saying? From my perspective. That's all right. Um, I literally went into this believing Caze. So, like, what? And then I kept covering it because more things were coming out. And I covered other people's opinions and commentary because it would not compute to me. Like, why would you, as a business owner, like, even though I still believe that Rayleigh Rukavina did steal the dress, I still think it was wrong of Caze to handle it the way I think Rayleigh and Caze both handled it wrong. But I really think that like Caze really like her, if she knew like if with her history, she knows that she has these other altercations. She knows she has these legal issues that people were looking up, you know. She knows that like other clients are very unhappy with her. She knows she hasn't paid the employees, you know, based on what they showed. What I believe the employees. Um, it's like if you know that these things have happened, then you should know better, like than to draw attention to yourself in this way. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a time to lay low. And this is just me giving free PR advice. Like that is when you lay low. Um, you make amends, you try your best to serve community, and then you step out into the light later if you feel that, you know, you're in a place with community that you're gonna have that support system and you're making amends and on a better path. Um, you know what I'm saying? Like fucking, I don't know, but for me, you don't just sweep things under the rug, act like it didn't happen, and expect people to forget about it and move on, and you not ever correct the issues. You know what I'm saying? That's what I don't like. And that triggers me from my own history with genocide and sexual assault and being deaf and having all of these issues. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's like, I don't know. Um, and then where it says they're telling me they demand the immediate removal of the aforementioned video, but they never specified which video. So how am I going to remove a video? You don't tell me which video. And any other content related to or based upon the allegations therein. What allegations? Your allegations against me? So you're saying any video related to you? Like I'm not going to take down all my videos about you. Like legally, fair use law, social commentary on news reporting. I feel everything that I covered applies based on fair use law. I'm allowed to have social commentary and speculation. Every single thing that I covered, I've shown the sources for. Um, and then she was saying failure to comply with this legal demand within 48 hours. And like literally, that's not how a demand goes. 48 hours is too like quick, and 48 hours has now passed. So what now, bitch? What now, bitch? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying.
I'm like, what in the fuck? If you scared, then just say that whole enough is enough. They was just in my DMs, ain't no trust in these sluts. I'm about to call up Diamond, bitch. No, if you
Yeah. Whoop. Wrong button. So, fucking, I don't even know. I don't even know. I'm just tired. Tired. And then I love how she's telling me, like, um, she's like, I have no choice but to pursue all available legal remedies. And then she's saying, it's my firm belief and hope to resolve this without recourse to litigation. What recourse would you have to litigation? What is there to litigate? Why would you waste anybody's time with that? Why would you waste our mental health on that? Trigger me that way. That's just malicious in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Filing a lawsuit on somebody when you know you don't have a case to without bias, that's just malicious prosecution, is it not? Like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And then let's see here. It was Yeah, no, that's pretty much it though. Okay, I'm sorry I'm on that. Like, I'm a bit rambly. I feel crazy. I feel like I'm making no sense. But yeah. So, fucking now what I want to move on to is just going over a little bit of the law when it comes to what she was discussing with me. So, in regards to Georgia code or whatever, you've got Title 51 here, torts, Chapter 5, libel and slanders. And they define slander or oral defamation in regards to imputing to another crime punishable by law. So let's see what the fuck this means. What the fuck do they mean by that? Like, what the fuck is imputing? Represent as being done, possessed, or something, or attribute. Okay, so if I attribute, okay, so because alrighty, now I did speculate about what charges might apply in cases against Caze and Rayleigh, on what their attorneys could argue on either side. I have done some speculation regarding that, but when I did that speculation, I cited where I was getting my information from in terms of the video that I covered the topics. And I put the reason why in terms of what was said by which party for me to think a certain way. Um, and I also literally wasn't necessarily saying that I thought anybody necessarily 100% committed a crime, because I've also maintained that it would be up to a jury to decide anything regardless of what I'm hypothesizing. You know what I'm saying? I've said those things. Um, I've never like sat there and just been like, oh, you know, Rayleigh is a thief, you know. Um, I didn't think she stole a dress until after I saw Caze claim that Rayleigh stole the dress, for example, right? So there was a reason. So I wasn't just like accusing someone of something without cause. There was a source, right? Now, when it came to, for Caze, like the employees accused Caze of not paying them, right? So, what did I do? I showed a video where the employees say this. I cite my source where I have the reason to believe that. I haven't said or alleged or accused anything that no one else said first. And then I just looked at what they said and I said, wow, here's why I do or do not believe them myself. That's what I've done in this live stream. So you know what I'm saying? That in that scenario, I don't think that is defamation for me to discuss why I do or do not think an allegation is true. If you think that allegation itself is defamation, you would need to go address the person who made the allegation, not me. And then once that is confirmed as defamation, I can make my update, in my opinion. Now, then number 2, it says charging a person with having some contagious order or being guilty of some debasing act which may exclude him from society. I basically addressed my response to that just now with number 1, though. Number 3, making charges against another in reference to his trade, office, or profession calculated to injure him therein. And let's talk about my planning on this content. There's a few videos that I planned in terms of, there's like off the top of my head, I can think of 3. So, I planned the presentation video because I had questions and I didn't understand the answers given by both sides. And so that's what that was. So I planned to cover the questions I had. Another one I planned was the timeline one because I wanted to understand why I believed what I believed when I believed it, because I went into this 100% on Caze Cenderra's side, and then all of these other things came out where I was like, wow. And then I was just like, okay, this is not someone I believe I have value alignment with. You know what I'm saying? Based on specific things that I've seen evidence for, in my opinion. I believe it. Um, Now, then it says, uttering any disparaging words productive of special damage which flows naturally therefrom. Um, I don't think, I honestly think that if business owners if we normalize the concept of business owners going after people who criticize their business for disparagement whenever these people have the sources to back up what they're saying, then what we're going to do is normalize environments where we continue to uphold businesses getting away with maintaining environments that are harmful to others. You know what I'm saying? I think when you're in business and you're a business owner, the public has a right to determine for themselves um, what we think and come to our own conclusions based on the information presented to us about what we trust in a business. And I think a business owner telling any consumer or any person to not that they shouldn't be able to have their own space to discuss that own level of discernment is, you know, well, not only does it negate the whole concept of freedom of speech, but also, in my opinion, that normalizes oppression. Um, yeah. And it's just like if you accuse someone of something, um, when you know you're making false allegations against people, that's when you really need to look at yourself. Because if you maintain a reputation where you become known for someone who doesn't always tell the truth, then you're going to harm your ability to be heard when you actually are telling the truth and need to be heard. And I'm just saying, like, I think that you should reflect on, um, at this point, where pretext may be established when people are able to determine where um, statements given were not true, and that those statements had changing reasons. For example, because Caze did not give me a valid reason. So Caze sent me 3 different letters, and she did not give me a valid reason. The reason she claimed that I defamed her was um, by giving the wrong CEO. That's not a reason for defamation. So, you know what I'm saying? And then, where she claims that I listed her banking information, I never did that. You know what I'm saying? Where she claims that I led numerous individuals to her, I don't believe I led many people to her. And she led 25,000 times more people to her, if I'm not mistaken, than I did. Um, if I'm not like it was about 20,000. I believe more time. Like, yeah. So that's all. That's all. I know I'm ruminating. I know I'm ruminating. Okie dokie. According to Kelly Wonderlaw, Georgia defamation, um, it involves unprivileged, false, and defamatory statement concerning the plaintiff where the defendant was negligent in making a statement and caused harm to the plaintiff. I don't believe she's going to be able to prove that I was negligent. I don't believe I ever was negligent in covering any of this. And I don't believe that she's going to be able to prove that I caused harm to her when she's the reason any harm was caused to her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't do anything except for observe what occurred. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't blame me because people think bad about you for you doing what you did. You know what I mean? I didn't do that. You did. Um, but yeah. And then I also wanted to address, like, is she a public figure? A business owner is not automatically a public figure, but sometimes they can be considered one, if they are involved in controversies. And I think when we look at, situations in which Caze, she's been known to be on a designer for people who are on red carpets, for celebrities. She's been known as a celebrity designer. And with the Rayleigh Riccavina situation, she got over 20 million views on that controversy alone. So I do think that we could classify her as a public figure, in my opinion. Um, the definition of a public figure, it could include celebrities, professional athletes, and politicians. And I think being an atelier couture designer of celebrity culture, that could constitute as being a public figure. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, I'm just putting that out there. Um, yeah. And for me, it's just like, I don't disregard the truth. If anyone can present some evidence to me that's different than what I've shared regarding the truth, you know what I'm saying? I would love to see that.
I don't really know what the problem is, but I guarantee y'all don't want me started. Bitch, you a pussy, never finna check me. Every chance you get, bitch, your weak ass wanna dress me.
So, y'all know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, fucking, with Caze and Rayleigh, though, coming up, because of, I don't know why it says Beyonce. I said with Caze. And didn't say Belle. I said though. Anyway, okay. With Caze and Rayleigh, though, coming up because of the situation where I'm getting the text message, email, and Instagram DM, what I am gonna do is go through. The only thing that I don't have like specific where I wasn't literally reacting to what other people were saying or doing, is this presentation. And in this presentation, what I had done was like tell you where I like state what was my question and quote in the video where I had covered some of this stuff. Um, and so what I'm gonna do next is another video, but it's gonna take me time because this is a lot. But what I'm gonna do next is another video where I go through everything that I've covered, timestamp where the evidence is for my question, and show that. You know what I'm saying? So, for example, like where they discuss the contract issues, I'm gonna pull up the timestamps on their videos where they discuss the contract. For example, I'm gonna be doing that. And so fucking that is gonna take time to do. It might take me 2 weeks or more, but I will get that done eventually. And yeah, so for the most part though, I have planned certain content pieces in terms of, processing the situation. I wanted to try and make sure I was understanding what occurred or just comment on anything new that I processed from what occurred. But for the most part, I did not plan to cover this or any of this. When it first came out, I was just covering what was happening as it happened. You know what I'm saying? And the reason I was so fascinated with this case was originally I fully believed that a bride could have really fucked over this wedding dress designer. That's what I fully believed at the beginning, and I feel that my videos show that. So, and then fucking after seeing all of this other evidence, even when the first employees are speaking out, I'm just like still looking, I mean, not the employees, the client. I'm still like looking at the difference between the client and Rayleigh, and I'm still like looking, and I'm still like, we're over here. But then it's just like after the employees are coming out and the other clients and just seeing it all, because one or two clients, I'm like, you can't make them all happy. But then when you look at the patterns, in my opinion, that's where I was just like, wow, okay, in my opinion, starting to sway on the situation, because I was seeing it from a different light where these same issues had happened in other situations. Um, so yeah, like I continued covering it because I didn't understand, like, why would a business owner jeopardize their business this way? You know what I'm saying? And I've also maintained I don't think that any business owner for making mistakes should automatically be put on the chopping block, so to speak. But we live in a society of structural genocide using capitalism, and we live in a society where I see how people act. And my thinking, though, is you can't weaponize millions of people against someone. And then when it comes out you're harming others, expect those people to still back you. You know what I'm saying? Um, and it's like she would need to go be able to prove that those allegations against her are false before she goes and accuses anybody of defamation for saying, hey, what if these are real accusations? You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion, though. So, yeah. I know I've harped on it a lot, but like I said, the whole situation is a particular trigger of mine because of my own family's history with the law, um, as it relates to different social issues that I experience. And so that's why for me, it's just like, I don't really understand why, you're going to weaponize, like anybody that experiences a certain level of um, social issues in the world. I feel like when we weaponize social issues against each other, that becomes lateral violence, and that just becomes like not conducive to society. Like, what are we doing? Um, you know what I'm saying? Because like, I don't know. Like my family, in terms of, we survived genocide, but before we survived genocide, we were still fighting to maintain our sovereignty and access to lands. Um, and the only reason we ever lost our rights and our land is because of trying to help. And then the people we tried to help broke their own word, which are the legal treaties that our judicial system is based on today. And so when people try to weaponize that against me, it particularly causes a particular harm to me from my own trauma. Um, I don't know. I just feel like there's a better way to move in life than to utilize colonialism to try and intimidate others to not holding you accountable when you are known to have harmed others yourself, in my opinion. All right. So now what we're gonna do is move on to back onto the Madeline situation. Um, so with Madeline, there is a couple of things that she said. So there's one thing here. Hold on.
I think it can be something that is hard to understand the motivations for unless you really dive into what the United States gets out of this deal. And the two main things it comes down to is one, flow of oil.
So in this video that I was covering yesterday, I was sitting there like I was really frustrated because I was just like, really? You're going to be talking about oil, but you're not able to fully articulate the connection between Zionism, between genocide, between land grab, between capitalism, industrialization, weapons, the mass military industrial complex, um, and the training. You know what I'm saying? Like, and she's over here like, we need oil flow. To me, that just shows I think she's very ignorant and just throwing shit out there. And here's why. When you look up U.S. oil in Israel, here's what you're going to find. First of all, Israel is not a significant oil producer. Even though they have oil, I know they do, but they're not a significant oil producer. And we only get about 12% of our imports from Persian Gulf countries. Canada is our largest single source of our oil. We've been getting it from Canada, not Israel. Okay? And this whole like thing where people act like we need to go to the Middle East for oil and all of this stuff for oil. Like, yeah, these colonizers and capitalists, if they can get some oil there too, they're gonna take it, right? Like, yeah, that's how they are. I'm not denying that, but that's not what they're going for. They're getting their oil from they already got their you know what I'm saying? Like, we're already getting, and yeah. Also, in this video, where was it? Was it here? Hold on.
Like, why the fuck the United States actually have a podcast. Pick me up, I'm scared. And I wanted to do an episode about Palestine, American, in a way that talking about their stories and their thing I wanted to talk about specifically when I did this episode was the United States, basically, and how interconnected. We don't have universal health. Bombs are being dropped on Palestine.
I was looking for it, but I could have sworn
children. Something like 15,000 Palestinian children have been murdered by Israel.
I could have sworn she claimed she had Palestinian family in here. I thought I wrote down the timestamp too, but apparently I didn't. Oh, you know what? Yes, I did. My bad.
He's in whatever it wants. I do actually have a podcast episode about this. Yes. A full disclosure, I have family members who are Palestinian, and I have a.
Okay, so see here, she's claiming to have family members that are Palestinian. All right. Now, I also want to draw your attention to something. What's the definition of a white supremacist? It's a person who believes that white people constitute a superior race and should therefore dominate society, typically to the exclusion or detriment of other racial and ethnic groups. Supporting the belief that white people constitute a superior race and should therefore dominate society, typically to the exclusion or detriment. So yeah, sorry. Reading that twice. And now I just want to look up definition of tokenism and discrimination. And it's whenever, when you're trying to either select or include a few people from under marginalized groups to give the appearance of diversity, or it's when you have like superficial representation. or it can be when you use your connection or proximity to somebody in order to make yourself seem like you are connected to or part of them as well. Um, just by the way, fucking and so in this video here, um, Madeline is that I covered, I think on, was it, I think I covered this on the 29th, maybe. I forgot. But I covered, whenever I covered Madeline on Ingalls, she was basically defending Marx and Engels. Marx and Engels are definitely white supremacists, which is why I believe Madeline is a white supremacist as well. Because she does not believe white supremacists should be canceled, or like people should, like, she doesn't believe people should stop supporting white supremacists, in my opinion. Um, Now, the reason I think that Karl Marx and Engels are white supremacists is because in two different letters that Karl Marx was writing to Engels, Karl Marx was extremely racist, potentially ableist, as well as anti-Semitic. Um, so Karl Marx told Frederick Engels that the common N-word type is only a degeneration of a much higher one. He said the common N-word type is only a degeneration of a much higher one. That is what Karl Marx said to Frederick Engels, his buddy. And he also said, Karl Marx also said to Engels, the Jewish N-word LaSalle, who I'm glad to say is leaving at the end of the week, has happily lost another 5,000 tailors. So this is why I believe they're white supremacists, because they talk about people who are from other ethnicities as if they are less than on the basis of their identity. You know what I'm saying? Also, Carlos Moore has an article called Were Marx and Engels White Racists? The Proletarian Outlook of Marxism. And it says in here, it discusses how non-Western societies in general and Black societies in particular are exempt from Marx's and Engels' analysis. You know what I'm saying? And I think that is very true. So, she's literally defending these people who I believe are white supremacists, which is why I associate her as a white supremacist and connect her to white supremacy, because she promotes white supremacist ideology, in my opinion. But that's just me. And so notice here, I also want to talk about the way in which she uses Palestine, some things that are bothering me there as well.
Full disclosure, I have family members who are Palestinian, and I
Oops, I forgot to unmute. I want to react to this other video too, where she starts talking about, where she leads with, where she mentions this again, and I just want to harp on that again. But first, hold on. So, this person right here says, so this is what's going on, and this whole thing on how Madeline should learn to apologize from a Mercury Stardust apologies thing that I was so lost about. I don't know what that comment means, but I don't understand why people are saying that Madeline Pendleton needs to learn to apologize like Mercury Stardust, as if Mercury Stardust gave some good apology. Mercury Stardust, in my opinion, if what the twins came out and said about Mercury Stardust is true, and I believe them, I believe Mercury Stardust could be a rapist, and I believe anybody that associates with Mercury Stardust is a rapist apologist, in my opinion. I don't believe we should live in a society where we're like, no, one day it's okay that someone was a rapist. Like, I don't like you. If you're that way, please stay the fuck away from me. Because in my experience, those types of people don't learn. They just fake it because they just want your money. They don't actually give a shit about you. And when you normalize that, I'm not good with you. Like, that's like, ugh, disgusting. So, yeah, that alone shows me where our value alignment is.
The internet hates me this month. Literally everybody is dogpiling and trying to cancel me because I said that I was voting third party. That's it. I live in California. Bye.
That's not why everybody is hating or dogpiling on her. That's not it. So you see, this is what I don't like. Is when there are people have given you explicit reasons to call you out for harmful things that are said, and you're like, someone doesn't like me because they just don't like me because of this other thing that's not what was happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one gives a shit if someone votes third party just because someone's saying they're vote third party. That it's the other things you said, and I don't want to speak on that because again, it's not my community. But this is what I don't like. So she made some choice statements to people, and it's, you know what? I'm not gonna even harp on it. That's a whole different train. That's a whole different train. But also, I do believe that when you get to a point where you have millions of followers on the internet, like, people will just say any fucking thing, and I totally get and could see how she may be dealing with a lot of people that are just like shitting on her for the stupidest shit and could be addressing that. However, if you only address, even if that's true, if you're only addressing that and you did not actually address the real valid reasons people do have for being upset with you, I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah. And also, it's just like every time I see somebody, I don't really believe people can just be canceled, right? In terms of like Jeffree Star still going. He wasn't he known for being racist? You know what I'm saying? Like, people do fucked up shit all the time. You still see them be profitable. You just, well, you don't get canceled. You just be shift communities, and you may have people leave your community, and you may end up in another community. You build your community based on people who align with your behavior. I don't believe people actually get canceled. You know what I'm saying? Um, in my opinion. And every time I see somebody talking about canceled and cancel culture, it's usually people who they themselves are not taking accountability. And instead of being like, oh yeah, man, I fucked up, they'll be like, oh, people are trying to cancel me. You know what I'm saying? Like, what?
By the way. And my cousins are Palestinian. And I was like, yeah, I'm not voting.
I have a podcast that's about like political and social issues mostly. It's called Pick Me Up, I'm Scared. And I wanted to do an episode about Palestine, but I wanted to do something about this. Yes. A full disclosure, I have family members who are Palestinian.
I live in California, by the way. And my cousins are Palestinian.
This is what I don't like. She herself is not, I don't think she herself is Palestinian. And it does trigger me when people who are not indigenous try and speak on indigenous issues this way. It does bother me. There's a difference between um letting it known where you are on social issues, because on one level, if you are, silence is violence, and if you don't, like, you know, if you're complicit with certain situations on one level, you know, I do agree that you should be stating your piece, using your platform, etc. But on another level, when you try to build your platform as a thought leader on other people's genocide and trauma, that I don't agree with. I really don't. And the way that you tokenize, this is, in my opinion, is tokenization. Like, for example, I have cousins who are black. Um, And I have mixed cousins on both sides. You know, on my mom's side, they're mixed black and white. On my dad's side, they're mixed black, indigenous, white. Um, you know what I'm saying? And so when I speak on social issues, like when I speak on police brutality, I used to back in the day, when arguing with other white people, they'd be like, well, why do you care about Black Lives Matter? And I'm like, because I see my family go through this shit. You know what I'm saying? So I do get on one level, like, I used to be that way where I would be like, well, yeah, my cousins go through this. My family goes through this. My dad, in a different way, goes through this because Indigenous people have our own issues with police brutality as well. Um, so I've seen that, but and I understand where when you do have that family, um, that impacts you too to some extent. However, you still don't have a lived experience on something unless you experience it yourself. You know what I'm saying? And if you base your ability to take a stance on a social issue for it to be only in proximity or connection to your relationship to that person, or if your relationship or connection to a person is why you decide you're maintaining a stance on a social issue, in my opinion, that's when you're tokenizing somebody. Like, your belief in human rights issues shouldn't be contingent on having proximity to a person impacted by that social issue. You should just give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Let that marinate. So that's one thing to think about. And another thing, when Indigenous people experience genocide, even people who are reconnecting, even descendiants, aren't given proper authority to speak on social issues for Native people in Native communities because we cause harm, because we're not raised in a culturally connected, decolonized way to understand what harm we're spreading before we spread it. And so that's another reason I take issue with, um, people like Madeline who are not Indigenous trying to tokenize Indigenous people to speak on Indigenous issues. If you're going to speak your piece on the social issue, don't base your relationship or proximity. Don't base it on a relationship or proximity to somebody. You know what I mean? I don't like that. That's just me personally. And I really feel like she doesn't take criticism well. Like, she is the type of person, if she's causing harm to you, instead of stop causing harm, she'll be like, well, I guess I won't be around anymore. You know what I mean? I'm like, what?
And I was like, yeah, I'm not voting for Kamala Harris, no. And I even said, I'm not going to shame other people for how they vote. I know people vote under coercion and duress. And I live in a state where, like, the election is called before our votes are even fully tallied. So, whatever.
And there's just something watching this settler colonizer who I believe perpetuates white supremacy, um, try and discuss, like, act like she's like some authority figure on decolonizing. That's what bothers me. I don't think that white people can be have any authority on decolonizing. I don't even think I, as a mixed person, do because I'm too colonized. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the extent to which I feel I should be taken seriously is when I warn you guys. It's me trying to warn you because I don't want you to go down a bad path. Go down the path that I went down because I built my life listening, being in the context of those around me, and I don't like the way I started out in life, listening to my mom's side. Um, and that's another thing. It's just like, listen to people who are actually connected to a decolonized perspective on decolonizing. You know what I'm saying? And I think that is the extent to which I can help you on that journey, is to tell you to go somewhere else. Like, not even to me, because I'm trying to, the only extent to which I can help you is showing you my own journey of trying to process my own decolonizing. It's not me trying to help others decolonize, because I can't help you decolonize when I'm not on it, when I haven't decolonized. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, yeah. And I feel like that's the attitude that Madeline needs to have, because Madeline Madeline not being humble where she is in her decolonizing journey is how I believe she is basically trying to support and uphold white supremacy by doubling down on defending white supremacists. And she's either doing so intentionally because she fully supports those statements, or she's doing so because she's not educated. And either way, it shows like this is why you can't learn from people who are individualistic like this. You need to learn from people who have that community support and mentorship, who have had those elders help them process the decolonizing journey, who have the ancestral tie and the connection to a pre-colonial life. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need, in my opinion. And it really does bother me when you yourself don't have Indigenous ancestry, but you try to constantly discuss Indigenous family, because in my head, it's just like a form of pretendianism. Like, that's just highly inappropriate. For example, I have cousins. I have Indigenous ancestry, but my cousins on my mom's side do not. Just because they're my cousin doesn't mean that they have any Indigenous ancestry or lived experience on Indigenous issues. Like, if this was my cousin, I would be fucking commenting on this video like, bitch, fuck you, take this shit down, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way, like, if my cousin were to be like, I have an Indigenous cousin, I'd be like, I'm not your fucking token, bitch. I don't give a shit. I'm your cousin, but I don't fucking like you right now. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I would say. Like, I wouldn't allow myself to be tokenized. So maybe their cousin is good with it. Um, Maybe their cousin is fully in support, or maybe their cousin literally doesn't know. Because I know some people like are not on TikTok, and if I go talk about people that are viral on TikTok, they'll no clue, no clue. Like, there are some people like no clue. Um, so maybe their cousin like literally isn't on social media, but I'm wondering why where what the cousin thinks about all of this. But still, fucking, even still though, I see people tokenize themselves. For example, I've had deaf people try to tell me that I'm discriminating against hearing people if I don't want hearing opinions on deaf issues. So I still see people tokenize themselves even when like we're of marginalized communities. You know what I mean? And then that's also how harmful behavior spreads, because they'll be around people who allow themselves to be tokenized too sometimes, right? I don't know for sure, like, but yeah. Um, for me, there's just like a certain type of rhetoric and ideology where it comes to like, when if you're guiding people on a decolonizing journey but you're maintaining this mindset that you're above them, I associate that from a white supremacist mindset. um I don't think I'm above anybody. I don't even think I'm above Madeline. I don't think I'm above anybody I don't think anybody is above each other. That's another thing. A lot of people, when I talk about social issues, they start automatically jumping to, well, you think you're above everybody else. No, I don't. I don't think anybody's above anybody. And that's what always gets me into trouble, because I don't believe in no bullshit social hierarchy. We're all gonna fucking die. And so, like, in certain cases that gets me in trouble, because I don't like, um I will question authority. I won't listen to you and do what you say just because you said to do it. I'm going to think about what you said to do, and then I'm going to determine whether or not that is a beneficial thing to do before I do it. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's where people, like a lot of people, they don't want someone to question them. They just want someone to listen to whatever they say. You know what I'm saying?
Or I'm going to vote for third party because if they get 5% of the popular vote, not the electoral college vote, it secures funding and ballot access for future elections. That is it. That is what I said. And the internet has exploded because of it.
That itself is not why the internet has exploded, in my opinion. Even if that's what Madeline meant, you know, perhaps Madeline could say, that's what I meant, that's all I meant, and I apologize that it exploded to somewhere else. That would have been a positive thing to say, you know? But like, whenever she's sitting there, like, oof, she was basically trying to tell other people of other communities that they don't know their history. And then she was, you know what? I'm not even gonna get into all of it because, oof. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like she loses the plot, or either she's intentionally. No, because how can you claim to be so decolonized yet you don't understand basic social issues? I don't know.
People are now trying to claim that it's anti-black to vote third party, which is interesting.
That's not what happened. She was purposely, in my opinion, potentially purposefully, um, fucking mispronouncing Kamala Harris's name, which people consider a microaggression. And she was arguing with people about if that was a microaggression. It's one thing to not know how to pronounce her name or to have just said, oh shit, I didn't know, whatever. But when you start arguing about if something is discrimination, when people are letting you know it is, that's when, and from there the plot got, and some things were said about Angela Davis as well, but I'm not going to comment on that. And I don't, and I think she does isn't willing to recognize, you know, like she's more focused on arguing that she is right about something than acknowledging where she could have been harmful or where discrimination could have been. And for me it's like I'm so in one situation, um um I forget the whole situation entirely, but I was in a fight with somebody and we were arguing about um, if deaf people should uh, be able to determine who our interpreters are, if we should be able to choose our ASL interpreters. And I was discussing, yes, we should because of how hard it is for us to get access. Um, and she was arguing with me about, you know, like that is not, she was arguing with me about how that's not discrimination against deaf people to not give us the interpreter we want. And I was telling her it absolutely is. And then she was telling me that I'm anti-black. And I was just like, oh, okay, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize like that. Let me know what I said that was harmful so I'll know not to do it again, please. If that's okay. Like, um, and you know, like from there we had a conversation. um she still was not willing to address that denying deaf people interpretation is discrimination against deaf. So I maintained my position against her on that. Like, you still are discriminating against deaf people, by the way. But yeah, basically she was trying to tell me that I wasn't including black people, um, by insisting deaf people need to pick our interpreters, because she was saying that black people don't all know ASL. And so then I was saying, well, that's a whole different conversation when we get into the tie of segregation between black ASL and ASL deaf and white, black, deaf, and white communities. Um, but I felt like if I just broadly discuss accessibility, um, I understand how there could be racism without acknowledging disparities, but I did not understand how arguing deaf people should be able to determine our own interpreters was racist. Um, and so, yeah, so like if it were a situation like that, I could understand where she had questions about what happened. Um, you know what I mean? Because I've had these conversations myself where I'm like, okay, someone just told me I'm racist, and now I don't know, like, if I am or not. And if I am, I want to fix it. But if I was, I don't understand it. But I'm not trying to argue that I'm not if I am. I'm just trying to say I don't understand. So I can do better. Not that anyone owes teaching me, but you know what I'm saying? So I do get to where you can have that breakdown when you do care and there's all of these layers and you don't know what the fuck to do. I get that. However, I feel when I see her communicate, I don't see her trying to understand if or how she could have been causing harm. I see her basically trying to belittle others, act like they don't know, or act like she wasn't, or act, you know what I mean? Or she'll just act like something else happened than what actually happened, in my opinion. But that's just
because I actually attribute my decision to vote third party in this election to a lot of black communists, which I mentioned. If you are interested, I highly recommend Revolutionary.
And this is another situation in which I don't like the tokenization here. Yeah. I get on one level, there are places where you discuss like, okay, this is where I'm getting my information from, so that way you know, like, because sometimes you have to discuss where you're getting your information from for there to be a context of source validation and to where to go get other sources, right? But instead of providing those sources, when you just generalize a whole community by saying, well, this one, I get my information from this one whole marginalized group, it's just like, that rubs me the wrong way because you're not acknowledging their specific identities, but you're identifying them by the way in which you oppress them, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Um, and then it's just kind of like the way she uses these connections as shields when other people are trying to express that harm was caused. She's just like, well, I have a person of the global majority, so it's not. You know what I mean? As if she could possess something or own something to make herself better by having a proximity or connection to, I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way. I don't like it. You know what I mean? And it's like when you pick this comment of all comments to respond to regarding being a rapist apologist, that really rubs me the wrong way.
Blackout Network. I've done some great stuff on the election. From there, people also try to claim that I was lying about the Democratic Party, trying to pay me to make videos for them.
She technically did not. It's technically not the Democratic Party. It's a it's a political organization that is a democratic political organization, but it wasn't the DNC. That's what people are trying to clarify. Where she's not transparent, and I believe she is intentionally saying this to mislead people. And it's just like, here's my issue, right? and again, I hate Democrats and Republicans, but a lot of one of the biggest reasons people double down on being Democrats is because people like Madeline will perpetuate misinformation against them. You know what I mean? Like, ugh, ugh.
This is not even like a hotly debated thing. They definitely did. They tried to pay me $13,500 to make videos talking about how awesome Democrats were. This isn't even debated. This is a Washington Post article about how this happens. Everybody knows that this occurs.
Right, but it's just about being clear about who does it, following the money trail. No one denies that people get paid for that. And the way she's trying to, that's where I don't like. It's very well known.
Republicans do too. Well, for some reason decided I was a liar for saying it, even when I showed the offer.
No one said that she was a liar for saying that people get paid to promote. People were only saying you're a liar by saying it was a Democratic Party that paid you, when no one from the DNC actually paid you. It was another group. Those people are Democratic, but that's a different story. You know what I'm saying? It's like claiming that the GOP paid you to do something when it was just a bunch of random Republicans. You know, you know what I mean? It's like, and so that's what I don't like, where she will miss the plot entirely, or I don't know. She just like dangles a carrot somewhere else.
And then people started like a huge weird misinformation, like lie spiral train about a bunch of other things that never even happened and aren't even real.
So the only situations that I've seen people call Madeline out for are either criticizing specific things that she said in which they have the comment or the video clip of it. So those are real things that were said, or from customers who have real evidence of what happened, as we've covered in my playlist. I have not covered the social commentary of this last blow up because of the fact that it doesn't impact my community, and I don't want to be trying to, speak over other communities on their issues, right? But if the next, because according to her these happen once a year, so I'm sure sometime next year she gets into another controversy. If it's something that I feel that is more would be more appropriate for me to cover, then I will, because I don't want to sit here and cover racism as it relates to Black people, because obviously I have no lived experience or connection to speak on that. So yeah, I just want to support, but that is the controversy to which she is referring to, is the reason I'm bringing it up. You know what I'm saying?
To try to claim I'm an evil, horrible, bad person. All because I said I was voting as a California.
That's not why though. Like, most people aren't liking her because of the ways in which she was arguing with specific Black people on the topic of anti-Blackness, in my opinion. Along with, in my opinion, the specific customer issues that came out. Yeah. So that's just me.
Californian third party in the presidential election. The internet is a deeply unserious place.
For me, it's like, to a certain extent, I believe that she got some shit for voting third party, because the internet is that crazy and silly, and like whatever people do anything, that was ableist usage of crazy for me. Something I'm still working on myself. Anyway, fucking, but it's the uh it's the way she acts like that's the only reason people are mad at her. Like, oh, that's all this is. It's the reduction. It's how she's trying to minimize and reduce the harm she causes to things that are not harmful, that no one's actually really that upset about. No one that's actually on the path of human right issue and value alignment, like, in my opinion. And, like, fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what I think, though.
So, you see people on the internet saying I am racist and anti-black. That is the reason why. Because I said I was not going to vote for Kamala Harris.
That's not the reason why, though. Um, in my opinion. But I do think that it, like, basically, I don't know if a hearing person were to basically tell deaf people, try to tell deaf people about our own issues, and when deaf people correct the hearing person, let you know, like, hey, that's discrimination against us, um, and then you did the same thing, like, I would absolutely think that right now you're just discriminating. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Yeah. Because here's the thing. I've seen black people call her out on being anti-black. And for me, when it comes to discrimination, if you see one person of a community that you're not a part of calling you out for discrimination, that's when you need to, take a step back and acknowledge where the discrimination could be and try to learn. I don't agree with this whole concept of, oh, if you can go find a person of the community who says it's not discrimination, you can still do it anyway. Like, because then that just, it negates the harm you're causing to other people. Like, there's just something about this that really rubs me the wrong way.
Because I am going to vote either for Green Party or for PSL, either Jill Stein or Claudia De La Cruz.
So either way, she's just upholding colonialism and genocide against indigenous people, because who gives a fuck about land back, right? Anyway, fucking colonizers. And colonizers trying to argue about, um, about not, like, colonizers upholding colonialism and genocide against indigenous people while arguing about who's not decolonized enough is rubbing me the wrong way as well.
You're gonna be like, Jill Stein's a Russian asset. You know how many people on the fucking internet have tried to tell me I'm a Russian asset? I don't want to hear it. You guys are just spewing misinformation or repeating things you've never even looked into.
I do think it's funny that Madeline's saying that everybody's spewing misinformation about things that they've never looked into. So is she saying that she has looked into Karl Marx and Engels and she agrees with them being racist and anti-Semitic, and so she's racist and anti-Semitic too? Is that what she's saying? Um, or is she also someone who never looks into things and spreads misinformation? Which one is it? Was that intentional, or are you misinformed, Madeline? I just want to know.
Okay, I don't love Jill Stein. I don't love any politician, all right? But this is a decision that I have made for my voting. I'm not going to apologize for people.
Um, I do think it's interesting that she's kind of trying to ridicule the concept that, I said ridicule, not ridiculous. Um, I think she's trying to ridicule anyone for thinking, like, for criticizing her on social issues by, like, acting like this is the only thing people are upset with her about. If she addressed, or if she had said some version of one of the things people are upset with me about is this, and like, not made it seem like it's the only issue, then I would be like, whatever, fuck it, because, like, if this is your response to one thing that actually happened, um, then yeah, you get to, that's a response to that thing that happened, right? But it's the fact that that's not the only thing that happened. A bunch of shit happened, and she's acting like this is the only reason people are mad at her when it's not, is what bothers me.
Want me to issue a public fucking apology for not voting for a Democrat in the middle of a genocide that Democrats are committing. Well,
You're literally upholding genocide against Indigenous people while tokenizing Indigenous people to profit off of it. So I really don't like you trying to criticize others on Indigenous genocide when that's you. It's like the call is coming from inside the house. That's my problem with her. It's like she needs to, this is where she's acting like she's, you know what I'm saying? Like, and even me, like, I'm not even someone who's decolonized enough to be going to speak on building a platform on decolonizing, but I will say that I think that I'm in a particular position to at least process and realize that none of us are equipped to be leading on this type of shit if you don't actually have a pre-colonial ancestral connection to a decolonized life, in my opinion.
I live in California and my vote is worthless from an electoral college standpoint. And also, I have been very vocal about the fact that I am a communist. This should not surprise anybody. What should surprise people is that as a communist, I do vote. Many communists do not engage in electoral.
And again, as we've discussed, communism is a form of white supremacy. And I do believe she upholds white supremacy. I don't like it.
Politics, because we recognize it is not a path to liberation. And this should surprise anybody. I've been very upfront with you all.
And then white supremacists trying to talk about liberation is another thing that really bothers me. Like, you're who we need liberation from. You know what I'm saying?
About who I am and what I'm about, and honestly the internet is just a really weird, pathetic place where people invent stories to try to feel better about themselves, and it spreads like wildfire. And then
I wonder if that's what Madeline is doing with this video to make herself feel better about herself. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I haven't seen anybody make up a story to feel better about themselves. I've seen people try to get help when they're harmed, in my opinion.
people just make shit up, and then nobody even knows what they're mad about. Nobody even knows what they're actually mad
about. Okay, just because you aren't acknowledging why people are mad doesn't mean no one knows what they're mad about. You know what I mean? People are explicitly stating why they're mad, and then you just are like, no one knows why you're really mad. You know what I mean? Because you're not actually acknowledging what you do to others, in my opinion. Because I love how she started this video by saying the only reason people are mad at me is because I voted third party. And now she's saying no one really knows why they're mad. I thought you knew why they were mad, Madeline. Do you or don't you?
About or what actually happened at the end of the day. So if you're new, the white people are leaving weird comments on my page right now.
The white people are leaving weird comments on my page right now is what she just said. You're white. And again, I have mixed ancestry. My father is Indigenous descent. My father is not socially perceived as white, but I am. And so I used to not understand that I am white because I would be like, well, my dad's not white, so how am I white? But then I started to realize I'm white because I'm socially perceived as white. People only see me as a white person. They only think I'm white when they look at me. And I get white privilege and the white benefits therein because of my mother being European descent. And so fucking on that extent, it's like I had to learn first, how, my privilege as a white person in that extent. And then I had to learn, just because I have Native ancestry doesn't mean I get to distance myself from my white privilege as well. And that took me years to learn that lesson. I don't think that Madeline is on that journey at all. So just because you're white, like, I think it's one thing to express as a white person when you realize the harm white people cause. It is one thing to start to have some expression of, well, fuck white people, and I hate like that. I hate the concept of white people and that white people do this. I get those types of thoughts, and I wouldn't fault anyone for that because I think it is valid to, when you process certain atrocities that are done to be like, well, fuck this whole system, fuck this whole concept and everything, right? That I get. That I wouldn't criticize or judge on face value. It's when she's sitting here like all of these white people as if she's not a white person that bothers me. Like, you're a white person. So it's, what is this? White on white crime? It's, and what about the people who you didn't listen to? Not to tokenize them, only to acknowledge where the original social issue is. But I apologize if this is problematic in that regard. But when it comes to people who believed that Madeline was perpetuating racism against them, you know, um, what about those people? So where she's like, it's one thing if you only want to address the white people that are speaking to you and you're like, this is intended only to the white people. You know what I'm saying? That I get too, because I'll often be like, if you're white, I don't give a fuck what you think about this, but if you're not white, feel free to correct me if you think I'm causing harm. Like I'll say something like that sometimes only because like of letting you guys know what opinion I value on a fucking subject. But um or like, listening to people that have actual lived experience on an issue. Um to a certain extent I get that, but when you're acting like, when you're talking about how you were called out for being racist and you're saying, oh, it's a bunch of silly white people, it kind of sounds like you're whitewashing the people who were calling you out for racism that are black mostly, that were calling you out for racism, as well as other people of the global majority too that I saw. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what bothers me, because it's just like, who are you speaking to then? Who is this video for then? Because this whole time you've been basically ridiculing, in my opinion. I said ridiculing, not ridiculously. um in my opinion, people who were calling you, who experienced racism and were calling you out for being racist, and now you're trying to be like all you white people. But I didn't see a bunch of white people. I mean, maybe I will see white people like go attack people like as a sea or army or whatever, like if they see their favorite creator or something getting harmed, they'll go after them or something. I do see that to an extent, but from my perspective, what I saw was mostly people who actually experienced racism calling Madeline out for racism. So when Madeline is just like, all of these silly people think I'm racist and they're silly white people, that I find a lot of issues with. Like, are you, and because she's not addressing the actual people harmed, in my opinion.
That's why. That is literally why. I wish I was lying. I wish it was something more interesting. It's not more interesting than that, unfortunately. It's just the internet doing its weird fucking bullshit thing. Funny part, though, is that I have heard some really entertaining lies about myself this week. I said this on Twitter, but I was like, next thing you know, you're gonna hear that I'm like a lion tamer mining lithium on the moon, and everyone's gonna be like, I knew it! I always had a bad feeling about her. It's just...
Who wants to bet that she's going to say that I'm lying for calling her a white supremacist, for saying it's wrong for her to support Marx and Engels? Who wants to bet? Who wants to bet she's not going to think Marx and Engels are racist? And again, I should have kept these tabs up. No, we'll keep this on. And again, oop, I did not mean to like that. That's unfortunate. And again, I was trying to pause it. So right here, these people would have canceled Engels, bro. I swear to God. She's defending Karl Marx and Engels here. And remember, Karl Marx said to Engels, the common N-word type is only a degeneration of a much higher one. Karl Marx said to Engels, the Jewish N-word LaSalle, who I'm glad to say is leaving at the end of the week, has happily lost another 5,000 tailors in an ill-judged speculation. So this is what Marxism and communism is based on. It's based on this racism. It's based on anti-Semitism. It's based on ableism. And so it's based on white supremacy. And so who wants to bet that when I say Madeline is a white supremacist for defending Karl Marx and Engels after they said this shit, she's going to say that I'm just making stuff up? Who wants to bet? Who wants to bet?
Oh, this place. This place is wild, man. This place is really a silly. It's a silly thing that people do on online.
I love how people are calling you out for racism and your response is, it's a silly thing. Even in the situation where the example I gave earlier, where I didn't understand how what I did could be racism, I don't think that was a silly thing. I think, what if there was something like, for that person, they really did process or experience that, like that was their trigger in that moment potentially, like it's not silly, it matters. I don't know.
Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are doing well. Whatever's going on with you. I got a sinus infection. That's why my voice sounds like this. It's not great. It's not fun. But
So yeah, that's Madeline's response to the allegations. And again, the part
literally everybody vote third party, funding and ballot access for future. Yeah, for anybody confused, and my cousins are Palestinian.
And I have yes. Full disclosure, I have family members who are Palestinian.
And that part right there, she herself is not actually Palestinian, because in my opinion. Because like I don't sit here and say I have cousins who are indigenous. Why? Because I'm fucking native descent. I don't need to say I have cousins who are native descent because I'm native descent. I'm the native descent person. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if you are Palestinian, why would you sit there and go, I have cousins that are Palestinian if you're Palestinian? So I don't think she's actually Palestinian. I think if she has she has no ancestry, no lived connection, no lived experience on these social issues, but she tries to tokenize her proximity as a shield to act like she's decolonized. That is what bothers me. We need to start acknowledging where are we in our decolonizing journey. Because like for me, I am not far enough on my decolonizing journey. And this is why I don't think people who are impacted by these issues understand, like when you're actually indigenous, and here's the reason why this bothers me too, because Palestine is going through a genocide. You know what I'm saying? They are trying to erase their whole families, and the ones that survive, it's very crucial for those people to be the ones to share the narrative on Palestinian history. And for when we look up Palestine, it's more important to find actual Palestinians speaking on Palestine than people of other places, in my opinion. Like on a certain level, when social issues happen, yes, it is people's place as an ally to support us and stand up for us, but it's not your place to speak for us. Like, for example, for my community, if you wanted to support us, it wouldn't be to use our tribe, to use indigenous people to as content. You know what I'm saying? That would be extremely disrespectful. You would need to you would need to reach out to my tribe directly and ask the council, and then they will decide who is going to speak and what will be said. Like, and that's where people who are individualistic don't understand this community organizing. You know what I'm saying? And when you're disconnected because of genocide, when you're trying to find your way back to your reconnection, it's very painful. You process a lot. You don't understand what it's like to understand each one of your ancestors' history, to know where did they survive the genocide, to see where were they kidnapped, where were they tortured. You don't know what it's like to see where are the people you come from sexually assaulted, and where you survived because of rape. You don't know unless you come from that. And my thing is, when people trivialize this content and they're taking our genocide more of a, they're using our genocide as an argument of moral superiority over another, it is white supremacy in my opinion. I think it's very important. The reason I don't make a whole lot of content on Palestine, I speak very clearly, free Palestine, but I don't make a lot of content on Palestine because I don't want you to Google Palestine and find me. That would be inappropriate. You need to Google Palestine. You need to be finding Motaz. You need to be finding Basan. You need to be finding people who are actually connected to these issues. You don't need to be Googling Palestine or looking to Madeline on what is happening in Palestine. And she has no fucking clue. She doesn't even know why America and Israel are connected, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like, you, if you're listening to people who believe that the common N-word type is only a degeneration of a much higher one, those are white supremacists. If you're listening to someone who supports and stands by the man, she's literally saying these people should not be held accountable for saying the Jewish N-word, who that is losing money. These are the people who are saying like these things, you know. She stands by that. That is white supremacy in my opinion. And so that's why I don't fuck with communists. I don't fuck with white supremacists. I don't fuck with people who support Madeline Pendleton. Um, and that's just me. And I think I have more to process on the ways in which she's tokenizing Indigenous people, because for me, it seemed problematic for me to discuss my own family history because I experience white privilege. You know what I'm saying? And so even Indigenous people are gatekept on whether or not we should be the ones to represent ourselves. So I don't know why white women like Madeline Pendleton feel so fucking entitled to try and speak for Indigenous people when they have no Indigenous ancestry. That's what I don't like. And it's like one thing to every now and then, you know, stay your stance, free Palestine, direct people, all of that, like, because silence is compliance and things like that. But when you start your
and I was like, yeah, I'm not voting this month, by the way. And I live in California, by the way. And my cousins are Palestinian. And
podcast episode about this. Yes. Full disclosure, I have family members who are Palestinian. And
it's the way she does that. Like, you shouldn't be like what? Why if okay. If you actually care about your family, why are you constantly bringing up their genocide or trying to use your family members' genocide as a content piece? That's their trauma. If you are like what that's what I don't like. People aren't understanding this is our trauma. You know what I'm saying? And it's easy for you to see it as a content piece when it doesn't impact you because you're a settler colonizer. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. And another thing is when you look at the family tree, it takes one generation to get disconnected and 7 to find it again. So when we are reconnecting, we can't even speak on our own family history. We can't even speak on our own genocide. Because we have to form the community mentorship to be taught how to approach it in a decolonized way. And I think Madeline has no connection to any of that. You know what I'm saying? So she's just causing a lot of harm because she has no one to guide her. And fucking, yeah. And so I wrote out some things that I would want to see from Madeline in order to feel like, because, all right, so for me, she's more focused on distancing herself from being seen as a colonizer than decolonizing, in my opinion. And so for me, I would really want to see, in order for me to change my mind about thinking Madeline is on a path of upholding white supremacy, this is what I would need to see for me to change my mind on that. First of all, I would need her to stop promoting white supremacy. Where she's promoting white supremacist ideology and she's standing up for white supremacists, she would have to stop that. And she would need to speak against these white supremacists in order for me to actually feel, you know what I'm saying? And then she would need to apologize and make amends. Particularly, first of all, she would need to make amends to Black community in regards to everything that she's been doing wrong. She would need to apologize and make amends to Indigenous people as well, because the way in which she tokenizes and uses Indigenous trauma as a shield is extremely harmful. So she would need to apologize and make amends, in my opinion. As well as she needs to apologize to Kelp. I believe that because of Madeline Pendleton, Kelp experienced fat-phobic and transphobic commentary from Madeline's audience, and I don't believe that Madeline moderates her space in order to cultivate an environment where discrimination is not tolerated. Because Madeline is literally defending people who think that the common N-word type is only a degeneration of a much higher one. This is the words that Madeline is defending. Madeline is defending this sentence as well, too. The Jewish N-word LaSalle, who I'm glad to say is leaving at the end of the week, was happily lost in their 5,000 tailors. And the reason I'm saying she's defending this is she keeps saying that no one else knows as much as her because they just didn't read what they're talking about and they just don't actually know what they're talking about, is basically what I feel like she's been saying. So if she thinks that way, then I'm going to assume she's done her due diligence. And if she has done her due diligence and she knows that they have said this thing and she's still backing them up, then I'm going to just assume she supports them on that. Because she's literally adamant that the reason, that she's read their stuff. So if she's read this, anyway. So she would need to remove people who discriminate and call out discrimination, in my opinion, as well as take accountability for her discrimination, for me to feel differently about if she's upholding white supremacy. She would need to stop tokenizing people. That's got to stop. I don't want to see a single other video of her tokenizing somebody. It's a big trigger for me. She needs to collaborate or hire others instead of using trauma from oppressed communities that she's not a part of for content. As well as she should use some sort of disclaimer for having previously spread and promoting white supremacy because of not understanding social issues and not being educated or on what she was just spreading or having no lived experience on it, unless that's just what she agrees with, then I guess then she's just agreeing with the white supremacy. But if she doesn't agree with the white supremacy, then she needs to put out a disclaimer because of what she's spread. She needs to have some sort of warning that her content is known for spreading misinformation and discrimination, and that people should use their discretion when engaging with her. She would need to put out some sort of warning for this for me to not think that she's just trying to cultivate and perpetuate and spread white supremacy based on who she defends, in my opinion. So yeah, but that's just me. Um, I really think that if you don't have ancestry, you shouldn't be using indigenous trauma for content, in my opinion. If you are going to specifically advocate for a specific way in which we are being harmed, and you want to speak your piece on that, for example, um, when people are bombing the shit out of indigenous communities, or when people are moving through indigenous land illegally to destroy the environment for their colonial capitalist bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Things like that, like those specific cases and examples, I think that would be great if Madeline or anybody spoke on. I don't think that is tokenizing to specifically say where you stand on specific social issues, like if like saying like I am against, like the genocide in the Congo, I'm against the mining for cobalt there and all of that. Like I'm not for us doing all that. Like when people make our content or say our specific stances on those specific issues, I personally think that can be a good way to show support and to guide people on the right path of where to find that value alignment. But what I don't like is when you're constantly saying, I know an indigenous person, and so I know more about trauma than you. I know more about genocide than you because I know an indigenous person, or I'm not anti-indigenous because I know an indigenous person. You know what I mean? That really bothers me. Like, I have native ancestry, and even I have to work on not being anti-indigenous. So what makes a white woman think she doesn't have to work on being anti-indigenous too? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what really fucking bothers me. Um, and so, yeah, like, I don't know if she's gonna take accountability for her behavior. Um, but I honestly, I think that's what her and Caze have in common. In conclusion, wrapping up here, Caze, I don't know if she'll ever take accountability for her behavior either. And again, I don't think Caze and I should be having any further contact because she threatened legal action on me. So at this point, let's just let the attorneys handle it, right? Like, her attorney can reach out to me and we'll leave it at that, because I just don't think we're going to have a productive conversation if she's yet to been able to tell me like an actual issue, and it's the way in which she blew, like, if she had just sent me an email, that would have been enough. Like, you don't need to call me, text me, email me, DM me on Instagram, all of that. Like, it's just too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, fucking, there's just also with the allegations, I'm just like, if she feels harmed by me, I would love to take accountability for that and make amends and fix any specific thing in which I did that was actually harmful. You know what I'm saying? Um, if me sharing my thoughts on the whole story, if she does feel harmed by that, I don't feel that that is defamation just because you are hurt that someone is sharing the ways in which you did not pay your employees, in which you did not um, follow through on your contracts with customers. But I mean, I don't understand why you would think it's harmful for me to comment on that, but you don't think it's harmful for you to have done those things to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Like, if those things didn't happen, then please show me some evidence that that did not happen so I can make a video about how none of that actually happened. I'll do that, like, but you're not going to really be able to convince me that um by sharing sources I don't have a reason to believe something. You know what I mean? Like, literally, everything I share, I believed it. I shared it when I believed it or processed it, That's like what I'm doing is processing live. So, actually, like, I don't know. I'm a bit rambly. So, we've been talking about a lot. Today, we've been kind of just like a shitfuckery ramble about value alignment in business. We've talked about the email I got from Caze. I jumped into some different legal shit documentation and whatever. And I pulled up some search engine result pages, and every time I do that, I don't actually think just Googling something is research. But when I do that, it's just to show you where my thought process is flowing, and why I think the way I think. It's not because I think just a quick Google is research. It's just showing my mindset. You know what I'm saying? So we looked at a couple of search pages as it relates to the law, and we've just been processing why I don't feel that people who comment on other people's social media posts should be defamation when all we are literally doing is commenting and reacting to the specific thing in front of us. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me personally. Um, so yeah, happy Halloween, everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate you. Did I do a monkey ad spot today? I don't know if I did. By the way, if you're in New Orleans, would love it if you go and support my twin sister's coffee shop at Monkey Monkey. Yeah. So, and I just want to reiterate, like, if Caze, Cenderra, you see this, I do not give you consent to contact me again because I don't think we should have any further contact. At this point, since you threatened legal action, you can stand on business and go get an attorney to contact me, and let me know specifically which videos or which statements from which videos were not that I need to update, anything that I can update. Um, I don't feel like if she already posted her own address online and all I did was share what she had already posted online, I don't feel that I should have to take that down because you shouldn't post that everywhere. You know what I'm saying? But I could, what I if y'all let me know, like, anything that was defamation or harmful or anything, yeah, like, I don't understand what was defamation though, because none of what I said wasn't true to my knowledge. So you let me know where anything I said wasn't, I didn't have a reason to believe it was true. You know what I'm saying? Let me know. Yeah. Um, Fucking alrighty. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you guys, and bye. Thanks for watching. Join the loyalty program at noladeafchild.com/loyalty and check in during live streams to get points for rewards.